The Lord is gracious and righteous. Our God is full of compassion. The Lord protects the unwary. When I was brought low, he saved me. My name's Travis Wilson. I'm a single father. I have a teenage daughter, and I work in manufacturing. Growing up, I had a lot of things that kids would make fun of. I wore glasses when I was 5 years old, and I had a pretty big overbite. My early childhood was just a lot of teasing and taunting and stuff like that. I just learned to always be on the attack. 2 weeks after the Northridge earthquake, my dad died, and I remember it just shattered our life, and I was very angry at God. That year, I got in a car accident. I was just really angry on the road. I was chasing somebody down. I lost control of my vehicle and crashed into a telephone pole. After the accident, I was prescribed Vicodin. The drugs would really numb the pain that I was feeling, but it also helped me avoid the grief. Once I started abusing the painkillers, I started doing other drugs. Life was just really a burden to be endured, and that's what I used to get through the day and to get through life. And I was not obeying the house rules, coming home whenever I wanted, and my mom threw me out. I lived in a van for 4 to 5 months, partying all the time, and I had a job working at a movie theater, and I met a woman at work. I started cleaning up my act. We dated for about a year, and when I was 20 years old, we got married. The future looked bright for me, but I started drinking more, and behind her back, went back to doing drugs. So after about a year and a half of full-blown heroin addiction, I went to rehab, and I got off of the heroin, and I never went back to it. But I didn't stay sober either, and I started smoking crystal meth. I overdosed. Apparently I was out for 2 days. After I overdosed, I knew that wasn't gonna work for me, and so I was able to quit doing that. How I was able to do that was to drink. I turned into a full-blown alcoholic, drinking every day, morning till night. I remember telling a coworker, "Oh, I don't do drugs, but I drink just once in a while." And I was drunk the whole time that we're having this conversation, and she knew it, and she invited me to a 12-step meeting. After, I don't know, half a dozen times of being invited and kind of being really tired of my life, I accepted her invitation to the meeting, and I was able to get sober. So when I got clean and sober, I wasn't able to work out my marriage. While we were separated, I found a new addiction. I started dating a lot of women, and sex became a drug for me for several years. And I met a woman in a political chat room. We became friends, and I started telling her more about my life, and she started telling me that there was help for me. And I said, "Oh, no, I'm clean and sober. My life is great." She started telling me about Celebrate Recovery. And I said, "What's Celebrate Recovery?" And she said, "Oh, it's a Christ-centered recovery program." I just laughed at that. I'm like, what am I going to go to that for? I mean, I don't believe in Jesus. I remember just as my life was falling apart, I started thinking about what this woman had told me about Jesus. So I got down on my knees and I just asked Jesus if he was real, if he could help me. That I'm willing to believe in him, and he did. I had a very powerful experience with it. Tears of gratitude came to my eyes, and all of a sudden I believed. So even though I had a really powerful experience with Jesus, and my life was changed, and my attitude changed, my heart was changed, I drifted from him. After about a year, I stopped going to church, and I basically just lost my faith, and I turned my back on God. My life started falling apart. I got divorced, lost my friends, and I became really, really depressed. I started drinking again. My daughter, I remember her saying at some point, "I think you need to go back to church, Dad." Because she remembered when I was going to church years before that my life was changing. And so I went to Rocky Peak on baptism weekend. There were several people that shared their stories about how Jesus had changed them. What I found was hope in those testimonies, and during a worship song, I surrendered to Jesus and I just asked him to take the pain away from me, and I felt his presence again, and I felt like I was home, and I've been coming to Rocky Peak ever since. The first night I attended, a Celebrate Recovery meeting at Rocky Peak, and I remember walking in there and there was worship. I remember hearing people sing around me, and I felt the love of God, you know? I felt home. And I've been sober since that day. The support I've received there has just been amazing. I noticed people just cared about me, and it was okay to talk about Jesus, and they would encourage me. My name's Travis. I'm a grateful believer in Christ. Hey, I realize I'm not God. I admit that I'm powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong thing, and that my life is unmanageable. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I would recommend step studies to anybody who wants to grow. You get a chance to do a self-examination and to bring Jesus into it, and to bring community into it, and to heal. I've pursued drugs, alcohol, sex, money, always trying to fill a void that was inside. And the truth is that Jesus gives me purpose and passion in life, that I don't need anything else. You know, my future looks so much brighter than it did living my life on Travis's ideas. You know, but pursuing God and just taking these little steps every day and following the Holy Spirit, I have this love for life and this hope for the future that really is nothing short of a miracle.